We are talking today with Pamela Danziger, who runs a company called Unity Marketing, which is based in Stevens, Pennsylvania, in Lancaster.
Right around the corner.
Pam, thank you for taking time today.
Thank you.
I'm interested. Your work is in market research, and in particular, the high-end consumer market.
Right.
It's a little bit of an esoteric kind of field of study. Tell me about how you got started in that.
I mean, it's a niche, but if you look across, the consumer landscape, the shoppers, the people who are out there spending money and buying things. If you look at all the people and all the households, the ones that are really the most important, the ones that have the most money to spend, and the ones who spend the most are what we call the affluent shoppers. These are affluent households who are at the top 20% of U.S. households based on income. And it starts in this economy at about $100,000. So these are people not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but they're the top 20% and they have the most money. So they're the heavy lifters in the consumer economy. And they're the ones that I study because they're the ones that really have discretionary money to spend.
They're the ones that spend the most.
Right. They spend the most. And I look at, loosely called luxury, but really it's discretionary purchases. So it's not necessity things like gasoline, and I like to think of, toilet paper. Households need toilet paper.
Right.
Well, I'm not interested in researching those kind of necessities. I'm much more interested in things that are luxury in nature or discretionary in nature. So everything from candles to giftware to pillows to furniture, to rugs, wine, spirits, the whole range of handbags, shoes, that kind of thing. So
Right.
discretion.
How did you get started in that?
Well, I'm a librarian by training, so I've got my master's degree in library science. And what a librarian does is manage and organize information. And when I set out on my own to form Unity Marketing in 1992, what I did was instead of organizing other people's information, I decided, it wasn't far stretch to go to managing information that I created through surveys, through interviews, through talking to people. So that's where Unity Marketing started, is doing surveys, managing that information, and that's how I kind of morphed into the area of market research that I do.
Let's talk about what's happening now. What kind of trends are you seeing in consumer spending in this holiday season?
Well, it's a very complex time, and we've had a lot of ups and downs. So it's really, I don't like to forecast too much, but people, demand forecasts. And based upon the survey that we did most recently in October, this was prior to the election, with affluent consumers, there was a very strong uptick in terms of consumer confidence at the affluent level. They felt much better about their financial situation than they had previously. And we had the biggest jump in consumer confidence at the affluent level in our October survey. So based upon that, it looks like we're going into this Christmas shopping season with a very confident, affluent shopper willing to spend. But at the end of the day, confidence and feeling good versus actually putting your money down on the counter and paying for something, they're not always the same. So intention is never ultimately the measure of what's going to happen. But right now intentions look good, and we'll see. But things that are hanging over the marketplace are this fiscal cliff. I think, we survey about, are we out of the recession? We ask luxury consumers, do they believe we're out of the recession? Only 25% believe that we are actually out of the recession. So, what media tells us and what the way people feel, even at the affluent level, is quite different.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see at the end of the day, but I think I'm projecting a much more modest result this year. And I think retailers are going to, because we've seen it already with Black Friday, retailers are having to make really, really big and deep discounts to get people to actually fork over money. But again, that's at the mass level. The mass market consumers, and this is really important, the middle American consumer households lost $4,000 in average income in the last 4 years. Now that's very meaningful, and where are they going to cut their budgets for those to make up for those $4,000 lost? They're going to cut in discretion in things like gifts, not in the necessities. They need food, clothing, and shelter.
Did the high-end consumer see that kind of drop too?
High-end consumers did see a drop. but they came back a little bit quicker. And it's interesting too when we look at the high-end consumer, and we're hearing a lot about the top 2% now because of the tax issues. There's the top 2% which make $250,000 and above. They really didn't suffer a significant drop in income. The Henrys, the people that are high earners, not rich yet. They're people with incomes from $100,000 to $250,000. That's where the bulk of the affluent households are.
Right.
The Henrys did see a decline in income, and I think the average income of a Henry house is about $180,000.
You're calling them Henrys?
Henrys, high earners, not rich yet.
Okay.
And you ask a Henry household, I mean, are you rich? I mean, it's like, no, we're really, they view themselves as very middle class, even though at $180,000, they're making more than 85-90% of all U.S. households.
It's interesting. You mentioned your survey from October. That's
yes,
when
October.
Some of the economic reporting that's coming out now about consumer activity is kind of saying the same thing on the larger scale.
Yes, it's true, the Consumer Confidence Index. However, I did just see someone shared some numbers with me from a survey done in November after the election, and it was not, what went up came way crashing down. So as I say, I think it's a very tenuous situation. In our survey, young affluence versus more mature affluence had a very different take on their consumer confidence. Younger people were much more confident, and in the affluent market, those are people from 24 to 44 years of age, because affluence comes with middle age.
Right.
So you don't have a lot of 20-year-olds who reach affluence or in the affluent sector, but the young people were much more confident and much more positive and optimistic about the future than the more mature affluents, which are over 45 to 70 years old.
Is there numbers that drill down into why that would be?
Well, younger people by nature are more optimistic. Younger people by nature have a longer view of the future. I mean, more mature people, you're 50, you're 60, you're looking at retirement, you're thinking about putting away money. You just have a whole different set of values and concerns as a consumer. And so that's part of the reason why. But typically we don't see as big of split between young affluence and more mature affluence in our survey. So this is like a newly emerging sort
right.
of a trend. We'll see if it continues.
Yeah.
Our next survey's in January.
It'd be worth watching.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
We'll let that be the last word. Pam, thank you for your time.
Thank you.